Happy to be joined by the UFC bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling, who's going to be defending his title against TJ Dillashaw, UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi, October 22nd. Aljo, how are you, man?
Doing good. Just finishing up a workout and another day in the training camp.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the time as always. What's sort of been the feedback leading into this fight? I know, obviously a lot of fans have been against you with everything that happened in the first Jan fight, and you're fighting a guy who is actually suspended for cheating. And have you noticed the fans coming around ahead of this one?
A little bit. There's still some people out there that are saying what they're saying, grasping at straws for why their boy lost and why they still think I lost the second fight. But I think for me, all that's just noise. It doesn't matter. I did what I had to do, and I think you watch that fight. Anybody with any type of common sense could see that I clearly was the better guy that night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any disagreement there. Are you surprised by that though? Just because TJ, like I said, he did one of the worst things you can do. He did steroids. He got caught. He had a big suspension. Does that surprise you that fans are still sort of on his side, maybe heading into this fight?
A little bit. But fans are gonna be fans. I guess they like cheaters. Some of them even says they think it would be better if we were still allowed to do that stuff, with no penalties or anything like that. I don't know. Some people are crazy, man. They don't understand what the nature of the sport is, of what we're actually trying to do. So they can say whatever they want until they're the ones that are actually in there.
How have you structured this training camp? Because I know in the past you've done a bit of training out in Vegas. I know right now we're getting you back home. How did you sort of structure things ahead of this title defense?
Well, I just had some injuries that I need to take care of, so being in Vegas just made a lot of sense. And then Merab was finishing up his training camp in Vegas, so it just made a lot of sense just for me to be able to stay with him, help him out, and give him the looks that he needed for his training camp against Jose Aldo. And I just like being in Vegas, man. It's just a better mood, 24/7. The sun's always out. Right now, it's been raining in Long Island for 3 days.
You're already depressed, yeah.
Of course, it gets the good summers we have out here, the short time, but I could live without the clouds,
Yeah. No, hey, listen. I live in Vancouver, Canada. It rains here all the time, man. So I can relate for sure. TJ Dillashaw, obviously a lot of things coming into this fight are the fact that, obviously he's had some injuries. There's a bit of a layoff for him coming in. How much will that impact the fight, do you think?
I'm not even thinking about it at all. I'm worried about me. I thought I had to worry about him for just his things that he do in terms of tendencies, his skill set and that type of thing. But outside of that, everything is focused on myself. I guess him being injured is part of how he is right now. But yeah, I'm not really looking at that. I'm just looking at what he brings to the table in terms of an athlete and competitor. And that's the main premise of this training camp. It's not really about TJ's injuries. Is he the same? I don't give a shit about that. He needs to worry about that, not me. My job is to go in there and just punch this guy in his face, strangle him, and get him out of there.
Do you think he beat Corey Sandhagen?
I thought Sandhagen won the fight. I thought TJ, you can make the argument that he won the contest. So it just depends on how you look at it. I mean, if we're talking about a fist fight, I think Corey Sandhagen clearly won that fight.
Okay, fair enough. Training partners, who've been some of the main guys you've been working with ahead of this fight?
I had JP Bays. He's been really good to help out. Merab, always having Merab. Dennis Bazookia, he was on the Contender Series. He fought that guy who just held him on a cage the entire time. And yeah, he was the one few guys that won their fights and didn't get a contract, but meanwhile everybody else did. But he's been really good. I work with this really high-level striker kid named Khalil. He's really nice to work with down in Extreme Couture. Assuncao jumped into camp a little bit. I think I had him for maybe 2 days, 2 practices. He jumped in some of the wrestling workouts, more so drills. Ode Osborne a little bit, more so drilling. This kid named Victor, more so drilling. But and Chase Pammy for the wrestling. So in terms of sparring, Merab, Khalil, Dennis, and Assuncao gave me 1 round. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same old gang, man.
Yeah.
These guys always do the job. Even Monday we just finished drilling, and I sent them some clips of some of the things that TJ does, and I was like, let's focus on these few things today, and these are the looks I want to see, and just get those repetitions. And it's good to have a team like that who can pick it up and control themselves versus just having some ego and they're trying to fight you in the middle of a technical session kind of thing.
What was it like getting to train with Assuncao? Because obviously you guys have fought before.
It was really good, man. I wish we got to work together more, but he's a little older now, and his training, just speaking from what I understood from him, was a little bit different, just based on how he needs to properly prepare himself or ease himself into training. So I know he has a fight, I think, in the next week or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, because obviously being able to work with him a little bit, sparring one round and doing a couple grappling rounds, super high level when it comes to grappling, man. I wish I engaged him more in the wrestling department, just to see how that fight would have played out with us grappling, because I think it would have been really fun exchanges. Even in the room, it was really fun to just get in there and mix it up with him. I never got the chance to work with Garbrandt. We were supposed to work with each other, but yeah, Assuncao been cool. No hard feelings. He worked with Cody Garbrandt as well. Garbrandt knocked him out, so that's a little bit of humble pie you got to kind of swallow, and just work with people who can help get you better.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron. So what was the full breakdown? Like, how long were you out in Vegas? How long you been in New York? If you had to add up all the time.
I've been in Vegas since June 28th. I got back to Long Island on September 16th? No, September 24th.
Okay.
So
nice. Okay,
most of the training has been in Vegas, but that was mainly because Merab was there, and I needed the physical therapy to just keep my body together as long as I can. I'm getting older, body's starting to fall apart a little bit, just from all the wear and tear from all the surgeries. Not more so from damage in fights or training. It's just it's just the grind. But eventually your body deteriorates from the surgeries. It doesn't always just hold together. But yeah, that's where everything is at for a training camp.
Flying down to Abu Dhabi, when are you getting there? I know some fighters are already down there just to maybe get acclimatized. When are you heading out?
I saw Sugar showing O'Malley saying he's going out there in 6 days. So I was like, I got to be there before him. I can't let O'Malley get there and get acclimated before I do. I know we're not fighting or anything, but whatever O'Malley does, I try to do what he does, because it just seems like the way to go. It seems like if you do what O'Malley does, good things happen.
Okay. And how does that affect your weight cut? Because obviously, I'm sure you want to cut a little bit more. I mean, you cut a little bit before you leave because it's a long flight and you retain water and all that, right?
Yeah. I'll be out there for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be acclimated, getting there with just enough time to get used to everything. I like the humidity and I like the heat. I actually like warm places. So I'll be right back in my element, like it's good old Jamaica days.
Yeah. And who's going to be making the trip down with you as far as your corner?
Merab, Ali Quinta, Dennis Bazookia, and Ray Longo.
Awesome. That's great, man. And how's this one playing out? Obviously, big fight here. How do you see this fight going down?
If I could get the squirmy little bastard down in the first round, I think I could choke him out in the first round. I really do think that. But I can foresee a second round finish via ground and pound or submission, rear naked choke. The guillotine might be hard because he's got a tiny little head. I got a small head too, but he's got a tiny little head, so it might be hard to grab a good hold of that small head in a guillotine. So I would never jump guillotine on that, but I can see myself rear naked choke in the second round or ground and pound TKO from guard, just smashing this dude.
You mentioned O'Malley. I don't know if you check the odds right now. His fight against Jan, I think Jan's about a 3 to 4 to 1 favorite in that fight. Who do you see pulling it out in that one?
Honestly, I'm not really big on the predictions, man, but I think it's going to be a great fight. I don't know who's going to win that. I think it's a lot of back and forth between the styles, and I think whoever implements the game plan better is going to win.
Interesting. So you don't feel like one has the edge over the other? Let me ask you this then. Do you think the odds are where they need to be, or do you think the odds should be closer?
I would put the odds closer. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Fair enough. If O'Malley does get past Petr Yan next, do you think he would deserve a title shot just beating a guy like Yan?
I mean, it'd be hard to deny him,
mm-hmm.
Whether it was me or TJ. Knock on wood is me, but yeah, it'd be hard to deny the guy. I think that would be his second real test, and if he passes it, it would just be kind of weird if he were to get a title shot over Cheeto, the guy who knocked him out in the first round in under 3 minutes. So it would be kind of weird. So I don't know. I mean, yes or no. I mean, if we're going to be a popularity contest, which the UFC kind of is, then I would say it would be O'Malley.
Okay. Where does it sort of put Merab in the grand scheme of things? I know that's not your job, but obviously you guys are friends. Merab's mentioned to me that he'd be willing to go down to flyweight. Is that something that you guys have obviously spoken about? Because I know you've mentioned about going up to 145.
I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, not in like crazy detail. I think there's a potential for me to go up, and there's potential for him to go down. It just depends on where things are at. Like, this is all fairy tale, fable. None of this is going to happen unless I win my fight October 22nd. So that's my main concern. Other than that, I don't even think about that. I'm like, I always say the odds of us fighting have always been so low because it would just have to be the perfect storm. I just don't see that happening in the sense of like two guys from the same team, the same weight class, getting to a point where they're the last two guys standing kind of thing. You know, but obviously he's gotten to the sport to be a world champ. Same thing with me. And I would never deny him the opportunity to do that in the sense of, I would vacate, or if I were to lose, I would help him fight for the belt the same way he's helped me fight for the belt, So that's the way I look at that.
Someone who's not in the mix anymore is Jose Aldo. He just retired. Just your thoughts on him calling it a career after a pretty successful one, both at featherweight and at bantamweight.
I mean, one word to describe Jose Aldo is legend, pioneer the sport, changed the game with a lot of his style, and even the influence that he has had. I think a lot of people still have that influence from him back in those days, and even for what he's done of late, So he's a innovator, legend, and the guy's had one of the best careers I think anyone could ever ask for. I mean, a young guy from the favelas out in Brazil. Look at him now, So it's always inspiring to see people like that come from nothing and have just about anything that they want in the world, Are
you disappointed you two never got to fight?
Slightly disappointed. The one that got away. I even feel like Dominick Cruz, the one that got away. But even if not fighting those guys, it would be always cool to like just learn from them, train with them. Pick their brain kind of thing. I've always been like that. If I'm not going to train with you, I'll fight you. If I'm going to train with you and you're like one of the OGs, I would be more than happy to humble myself and learn from a guy like that. Guys like that.
Would you want to see Cruz and say Frankie Edgar fight next? It's a fight that's never happened. It seems like both of them are kind of on the tail end of retirement. Just as a fan, take the fighter hat off for a second. Is that something you'd want to see? I
would love to watch that. We finally got Diaz and Tony Ferguson, which we should have had that maybe 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think there's any time to make that matchup. It could have been Aldo and Dominick Cruz. Those are matchups that would have been dream matchups to watch. But unfortunately, we didn't get it. If we can get this one, either one of those guys closes the book for good, that'd be a real fun fight to watch.
I know you spoke about him on your YouTube channel, but Bo Nickal, just how impressive you've been with what he's done in just a couple fights, and he's got his UFC debut coming up already.
Yeah, I think Bo's really good. I think he's talented. I think he's got the world at his fingertips. He can do whatever he wants. Obviously, he still hasn't been tested in the stand-up department, but that's because he's just passing all his tests with flying colors. But there will be some pushback at some point. I'm sure he's smart enough to know that. Just like any of his wrestling matches, not all of them ended up in pins. Sometimes the fight goes the full distance. So if he's learned anything from like Chimaev stepping up with Burns, I think he's going to understand that when he gets to that ballpark, there's going to be like some adversity that he's going to have to face. And I think he'll be ready for it. I think as long as he stays the course and keeps training the way he's training, I can't see why he can't be a future world champ.
We talked about your card. Obviously, the main event is Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira. Just your thoughts on that fight of, the title being vacant after Oliveira missing by 0.5 and Islam getting the test that everyone's wanted to see him fight. Just your thoughts on the main event.
I think it's a great fight. I'm actually super excited to watch it. I don't know which way that fight's going to go. I know there's a lot of Islam Makhachev nut huggers out there that won't give Oliveira any credit. They just keep thinking that he's just going to get ran through. And I think that's super disrespectful for everything that Oliveira has done. It's one thing if Islam is thinking like that, he's the one that's getting in there. But for people to say that and completely write him off, it's like, how many times can you write off Oliveira before he just keeps making us all lose our money? You know what I mean? And I don't bet, but I betted against him multiple times. And I learned quickly, this is not the same Oliveira of old. One guy's been tested. One guy has not. One guy has fought all the guys in the top 5 just about. One guy has not. So for people to just completely say this guy is the next greatest thing, I think is a little bit premature. And not saying Islam isn't that guy, but we don't know yet. We haven't seen that yet with him fighting anyone of note. So may the best man win. I look forward to watching that, and I think it's going to be a great fight for the lightweight division.
Do you think that narrative also is a bit from Islam's team? I mean, we see Khabib come out and say that he doesn't even think Oliveira is going to show up to the fight. Do you think that sort of, kind of lit a fire, so to speak, with the fans?
I don't know which way, but I think it's just some mind games. I would say it's kind of funny because I never seen Khabib talk this much. I wish he did this when he was actually competing, like as actively as he's been giving like comments and stuff like that. I think it would have been more fun build-ups for his fights, but he was just always like this quiet, respectful, alhamdulillah kind of guy. And I'm just like, dude, like we get it, like you're respectful, but then he kind of see a different side of him, like the joking and the making these brash statements. I'm like, dude, I kind of wish you were more like this when you were competing, just to build his own fights, because I think it just adds more. But I think they're kind of hyping up Islam, rightfully so. But I think they're doing it to maybe get in Oliveira's head. Maybe they think that they could break him, but they get in his head early. And then maybe the old Oliveira who would probably quit in a fight, maybe that guy shows up. But I don't know. I think Oliveira's in a different place.
You think Khabib's really tweeting that, though?
Honestly, I don't know. Because then it's just like, if it's Ali, then it's like, what's the point of him talking like that? It's not like he's promoting a fight, so I don't really get it. So maybe
kind of going back to the point I just made, though, like maybe sort of igniting the fans to again have this narrative of like, Islam's going to win easy, and Charles is afraid to fight him and all this stuff. I don't know. It's just that's my sort of take on it. Is I kind of feel like that's kind of perpetuating that a little bit more.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see. You're making your own tweets, so I know your manager's not going to hold of that. Just quickly, Khamzat Chimaev, obviously we had him compete at UFC 270, missed weight, 279, I should say. And, now there's talk about him fighting at middleweight. Do you think we'll ever see him fight at welterweight again?
Honestly, I don't really care if he stays welterweight or if he goes up. I mean, it does nothing for me. It's all about whatever he wants to do. I'm sure he will have a lot of success at 185 as well. But guys are obviously going to be bigger, so he'll figure out what he wants to do. And that's all I can say about that.
Do you see him though as a potential, champion, just based off what he's done to some of his opponents, like Kevin Holland? No one's really done that to him before.
I think so. I mean, I don't know. I think anyone has a chance to become champion. That's the way I look at it. Okay. We all get in this to become a champ. Not everyone does that, and I think that's clear. But we know the ones who are super talented, who have the potential to do that, and Khamzat definitely has that.
I know you're cutting weight right now. What's something that you can eat right now that you're really missing that you wish you could have?
New York sliced pizza and some Jamaican beef patties would be that would be hitting right now. But
is there a particular spot or a particular pizza joint that you would buy pizza from, or does it not matter? Is New York as far as you're concerned?
I definitely go to my local spot when I'm here, Papalatos. But other than that, any New York slice does pretty well for me. I mean, I'll even get the $1 slices that they have in New York City, or the $2 slices now. So pizza is pizza for me, at least in New York sense. It's a little different when you get outside of these parameters a little bit. Maybe Jersey. Jersey keeps up. They do a pretty good job.
Getting into any Netflix? What are you doing on that downtime during training camp?
My fiance and I finishing up Jeffrey Dahmer, sick show. I wish I never started it. I don't even know why people even want to watch and learn about shit like that. It's just like I get it, but I don't get it. It's like I don't even want to think that people think like this, even though I know that they do. But I don't want to see it. I kind of wish I could just erase all those episodes out of my head.
Yeah, see, I'm not watching it. For that exact reason. I heard some details about it. I'm like, I'm good. I got kids. Like, I don't even want to imagine what people are capable of. It's like that other one. Have you seen the documentary about I think it was like the American Dad Next Door or something, the guy who killed his wife and his 2 daughters. Like, it was like totally unexpected. And it was just like a normal family, and this guy just lost it. You seen that one?
No, I didn't see that one. But yeah, man, it's not a movie. It's an actual thing that actually happened. And it's kind of disgusting to see somebody call the police over and over and over. And they, like that, like watching that and hearing that, I just can't. It sucks. I'm going to finish it because I already started. I just got to see it through. I'm just like, I don't want to watch anything else like that. I have no desire, at all. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what people got to watch. UFC 280. October 22nd. Aljamain, thanks so much for the time. If there's anyone you'd like to thank, the floor is yours. And obviously you got the YouTube channel as well. Let people know where they can find that.
I just want to say shout out to G Fuel. Use my promo code Aljo for 10% off. Actually, it's upcoming 30% off coming up soon, October 6th. And of course, my team, Extreme Couture down in Vegas, Syndicate, 10th Planet, all the gyms, Cerro Longo, New York City, Long Island. We out here, October 22nd. Can't wait to get out there again.
Make sure to subscribe to the Low Kick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.